This episode's going to be another book review type thing, like my Heir to the Empire episode. So, if you're not into that or don't want anything ruined about the book Dark Force Rising by Timothy Zahn, I don't suggest you listen to the whole episode. So, first things first. Dark Force Rising was made by Timothy Zahn, and it was the sequel to Heir to the Empire, which I've already read. I finished Dark Force Rising this past weekend, and so I thought I would talk about my opinions of the book. First thing I like to say is this is a very good book. I feel like it's really developing. I don't completely feel like all the plots he had going on were filled out, but that's why it's a trilogy, because all the plots aren't going to necessarily be filled out to their best extent. They weren't all filled out. Heir to the Empire or Dark Force Rising, but by the end of Last Command, the third book in the series, I have a feeling they will be. It does end the plot. Well, there's still more to this plot, but this book's main plot is on the basis of the idea of the secret fleet, forgetting its name, but there's a secret fleet hidden that's been hidden since the Clone Wars that hardly anyone knows where it is but a couple people, and that was one that was finished. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I won't say it was as good as Heir to Empire per se, but as a book in itself, it was pretty good, and it definitely does deem itself to be in the Star Wars universe. So, by that note, I rather enjoyed it, and it was a great book as a sequel, and I can see that it really did lead into the next book pretty well and developed some ideas in the Star Wars universe that are to go on. As many people who may read Star Wars books would know, that the fact of who Thrawn is often mentioned in the later books that come in the timeline after this, as it was something that rather affected the New Republic and how it continued on, because it rather crippled them. So, in that respect, you can often see the effects of this book. Now, this book in it has a sort of power struggle, I would say, dealing with that fleet earlier. The idea is that there's this gigantic fleet of 200 Republic dreadnoughts. They're not the most powerful ship, as you'd probably prefer to have 200 Imperial Star Destroyers or something like that. But during the time of the Clone Wars, these were some of the most top conditioned ships. So to get a hold of that many of them would give your side a significant advantage. So the whole idea in this book is leading up to the fact that one side or the other is going to get this tactical advantage. As in the beginning of the book, we don't exactly see this happening, as the fact that, Han Solo and stuff are just going in to look and find out more about, or just looking to try to find out more about Philea. I know I just pronounced her name wrong, or his name wrong. Yeah, his name wrong. But as they're trying to find more about him, since he is trying to take over the politics of the New Republic, they end up running into Bell Abyss after having to escape the planet as the Imperials were coming down. And Bell Abyss had these ships, and Luke Skywalker runs into it, and Mara Jade comes to ask help from Talon Karrde because Mara Jade reveals the fact that Talon Karrde knows this information, and also at the same time, Thrawn had already entitled, what was his name? Some Niles Ferrier, I believe it was, to go look for the information on these ships. So the whole thing is leading up to this point. Bell Abyss had retrieved some ships from a guy named Captain Hoffner, who just so happens to be the same guy that was Talon Karrde's captain the day he found the Dark Force, the name of the ship fleet. So the whole thing is leading up to this final battle. Now, some similarities between Dark Force Rising and Heir to the Empire. Both of them have a major battle at the end that you see coming at some point. For example, in Heir, I don't know why I said for example necessarily. Anyways, in Heir to the Empire, the last battle was the Empire's first major attack, where they were trying to steal rebel ships. That was slowly leading up, and you kept on hearing Thrawn mentioning throughout the book, and there were a couple Imperial attacks that we found out actually had to deal with that battle. So that was all leading up to it. In this book, the whole battle was leading up to the battle to take the Dark Force at the end of the book, which ends up seeing the fall of Philea in the eyes of the military, as he said some stuff he shouldn't have, which diminishes his power greatly and allows the rebels, or the New Republic, to win the battle. So I feel Thrawn does a great job in both books of leading up to the fact that in the end of each book there's this battle that's going to be happening, and he adds subtle details that are like, okay, this ends up having to do, even if you don't realize it, he adds in things that are like, oh, when you get there, it's like, that had to deal with this final battle. So I think he does a great job. And one of the things I like about Zahn, at least from the writing, is there are quite a few times when you can just imagine the scenery he's showing you. I hate to keep on throwing out examples with Heir to the Empire here, because I don't have any necessarily I remember from Dark Force Rising. But in Heir to the Empire, he did a great job of showing us Karrde's force. Oh yeah, never mind, I do remember from Dark Force Rising when he was depicting, I believe it was a city in the canyons. Anyways, I really like how he's able to do that. So, anyways, I would suggest this as a read to anyone who's interested in it. Before you read it, you do need to read Heir to the Empire, so you have some better idea of what's going on. From what I can tell, this is a great trilogy. I started Last Command yesterday night, so hopefully I'll have that read by end of Thanksgiving. If not, I'll have it read by Christmas, and then I'll do an episode on that book. But this is Minecraft Indiana. I will hopefully be making another Star Wars alternate history episode soon, so stay tuned. Minecraft Indiana signing out.